Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
Let's have on with us Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan. Shawn, thanks for calling in.
Good morning, Brian. I've been digging out my car, so I didn't want to.
Sounds like you've been
going up the Ashbaugh Hill here this morning.
No, that was a wise decision on your part, Shawn. How's it going other than the heavy snow?
Good. Everything's going well.
Great. I wanted to get you on, and I'll be public about this. I sent you, Shawn Hogan, an email about a month ago to get you on to respond to the many criticisms that have been made on this station against Governor Andrew Cuomo. I think you don't check that email that often. So I went through and looked at my emails, and I saw, I think I sent it to the one he's not checking much these days. I don't know if you even received it at all, because it may have gone to your old mayor's email. But anyways, there's been a lot of heavy criticisms against Governor Andrew Cuomo, and wanted to get you on. Now, not to speak for you, but I think you would argue that even though local residents may disagree with Governor Andrew Cuomo on issues like, shutting down the 3-state prisons or blaming the Washington Republicans, as the governor did, for causing problems with the SALT, state and local tax reforms, or the abortion changes, and you would argue that they have a right to disagree with the governor on these issues, but I think you would also argue people should appreciate what Cuomo did for St. James and Alston. Am I right there?
Well, yeah, true, Brian. Now, obviously, it's politics, and people are going to have differing opinions. My concern is that, locally they only hear one side of the story, or, they hear press releases. Press releases from politicians aren't always newsworthy, because a lot of times they're just using the media as a pulpit to preach their ideology or their opposition to the governor's or the legislature's programs. And I just, of recently, I see there's been a lot of activity. Of course, the state Senate was Republican, and now it's now this Republican state Senate is in a minority, and they've completely changed their talking points, as is to be expected. And so there's a lot of different things here. They made a big deal out of the state legislature codifying Roe versus Wade, federal legislation. They didn't add anything to that legislation. They just made it part of the New York state law, which they've been trying to do for the last, 20 years in New York State, but it's always been blocked in the Senate. So, there was a lot of talk about, the late-term abortion and things like that, and it didn't enhance that at all. And certainly, I'm not a believer in abortion. I don't support it. But there's always one thing you have to realize: I don't have to have one. So I don't think it even should be a political issue. It's a moral issue, and it should be left between the people that are making those decisions, the woman and her health care provider. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So they try to make political hay, try to make it sound like the governor and the Democrats are baby killers. That's the farthest thing from the truth. And also, with the DREAM Act, where children brought here through no fault of their own, and who have lived here and who graduate from high school in New York State and go to a SUNY and CUNY school, and their parents make less than $125,000, they would be eligible for the tuition aid, and that's no different. Everyone's eligible for that, white, black, yellow, dreamer, or whatever. So, they try to put a wedge between people using that as an issue. We're paying for free college education for illegal aliens, which is not true. And it's just how it's been spun. So, my thought is I don't always agree with the governor either, and I haven't. And I'm truthful, and I base my opinion on facts. But some of the facts that I think overlook locally, is there's a new $68 million hospital being built here in our region to enhance health care and save over 400 jobs and create some new jobs with the medical village, and the people overlooked it. The governor gets no credit for that. The governor comes to town and awards $30 million grant to Alstom to help them be competitive with the high-speed rail, the Liberty Acela train. And 5 minutes after the governor leaves town, it's overlooked. None of these things would have happened, the boom that we're experiencing right now, without the governor's personal input and supporting Hornell. And we're one of the smaller upstate cities, which he's always taken an interest in. And, the continual bashing of the governor and his programs, that doesn't do us any good. If the governor needs to be criticized for policies that people don't agree with, well, that's fine. That's the nature of politics. But just to bash him for bashing's sake, I don't agree with. And I think it hurts our community, it hurts our region.
Yes, I was thinking that's what your thoughts on the subject would be, especially when it came to St. James and Alstom. As you say, he's used to being disagreed with, and it's one thing to disagree with him, but the hospital and St. James, those are big topics. Right.
Well, then you look at the Lincoln Gardens. Affordable senior citizen housing, which is just gorgeous. That was through the assistance of the governor's office. And there's others, the repaving of Main Street, the bridge aid that we're getting. We I think as a small city get a disproportional amount of state assistance, because I think we show that the community is progressing. We're growing, and I for one think it's important to keep good relations with the people in Albany, both Republican and Democrat. I've never made it a point to criticize, our assemblymen or senators. I've always tried to work with them, and I think that's the way it should be. But purely from the Democratic perspective, we in upstate New York continue to criticize and unfairly at times the governor and his policies, and then we expect to get the same treatment as people that are supportive of them. And it's I know politics is once you're elected you represent all the people, but it's just disconcerting to me that all the good works that he's done for us locally have been overlooked.
Which is one of the reasons I emailed you last month, and it was just a communication mix-up that you weren't checking that email anymore. Talking with Steuben County Democrat Chairman Shawn Hogan, the red flag gun control bill has been signed into law by Governor Cuomo, and he pushed for that. It's received some criticism as well. Some people are saying that it's going to cause some problems in those divorce situations when a restraining order is made. Did you have any thoughts on the red flag bill, Shawn?
Well, first of all, just look at it this way. Look at Parkland in Florida. There was people that knew that shooter was acting strange, and for weeks, maybe months prior to him shooting those 17 people and killing 17 people in the Parkland High School. If that red flag legislation had been in effect in Florida, his guns would have been removed until an evaluation could have been done. No one's rights are being violated. It's a due process. In this country, everyone is offered a due process procedures, and that's rightly so. What this red flag is saying, if someone's acting in a threatening manner, whether it's domestic, whether it's someone that's suffering from mental illness or depression or is troubled in any way, then the educators and teachers have a right to report that behavior. Then it's thoroughly investigated, and it'll be determined whether that person can purchase a gun or the person should have a gun. That's all this legislation is about. It's not infringing on anyone's rights. It's a public safety concern. It's a public safety issue, and I think the vast majority of people will support that. And so, there'll be those that say it's infringing on the Second Amendment. No, it's not infringing on the Second Amendment because no one's taken anything away, and without due process. So, it's just a common sense gun legislation and one more safety valve to prevent tragedies of the magnitude of Parkland or any type of gun violence. Most gun violence is because through acts of anger or revenge. The shooting out in Illinois just recently, the suburb of Illinois, at that manufacturing plant. The guy was fired. He came in for his exit interview and tell him about he's fired, and he brings in a gun and shoots 5 people. And that gun never should have been owned by him. So it's just a matter of common sense. It's not a matter of infringing on anyone's rights. And I know there's a lot of people who disagree with me, and that rightly so. Everyone has entitled to their own opinion, but I think that red flag law is the right thing to do.
Talking to Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan this morning. Thought it was important to have him on because, as I said in the beginning, and I'm being real public about this, the governor's been heavily criticized for a lot of policy issues, and I knew that Shawn Hogan would want to come on and stick up for Governor Cuomo because Shawn believes that the governor has been a great friend to Hornell on the issues of St. James and Alstom's, and as Shawn pointed out, the Lincoln apartments. So I wanted to have Shawn on a month ago, and I sent him an email, and he apparently didn't receive it. So we're going to take a quick break here on Newsmaker, come back, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Shawn's thoughts on the 2020 presidential candidates. Stay with us.
Ready to create your own income with your own home-based business where there's no such thing as getting laid off? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, wouldn't you want to know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Get the facts now. GoHereNext.com.
It's time to join the millions of people using Zoom video conferencing. Turn any size conference room, huddle room, or executive office into a Zoom room with flawless HD video, crystal clear audio, and instant wireless sharing. It'll even work with your existing hardware. Start your meetings with a single touch or use Zoom's new voice command feature. Hey Zoom, start meeting. Huddle happy. Visit Zoom.us to set up your free Zoom room trial today. That's Zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
Checking in with meteorologist Rob Carolyn, who says spring starts tomorrow. Well, on one calendar anyway.
That's right, and that's the meteorological calendar, Brian, and that's the one I'm most concerned with. That's right. The winter season ends today. We meteorologists refer to the winter months as December, January, and February, and the spring months as March, April, and May. So, meteorologically speaking, we head into spring tomorrow. Unfortunately, Mother Nature has not gotten the memo, and we sent it to her weeks ago, but she's going to continue to send wintry weather our way. Temperatures are looking fairly cool cooler than normal over the first 2 weeks of March. Then I think we'll start to see a moderating trend the second half of the month. Brian, we're going to be keeping an eye over the next couple of days on a series of low-pressure systems passing south of the region. They're going to kind of graze us this weekend. I think the worst impact will be down across Pennsylvania or down towards New York City, but we will keep an eye on them. Got a little bit of light snow out there this morning and some lake effect coming down off Lake Ontario. As the sun comes up, gets higher in the sky, it'll have tendency to break this up and will eventually turn partly sunny. Highs will be up to about 25 today. Clouds tonight, we're down to 10 to 15. Tomorrow looks even better than today with partial sun and a high of 40. Clouds tomorrow night, 20 to 25. Disturbance sliding south of the region Saturday will produce clouds, maybe some snow showers near 40, and we may see a few snow showers Sunday as well. Sunrise earlier this morning was at 6:46. Tonight is the last night for 6 months that will see the sun set before 6 p.m. Sunset tonight is at 5:59.
Down to the last 5 minutes with Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan. On the presidential candidates, I mean, there's so many on the Democratic side. It's almost like 2016 on the GOP side. Shawn, did you have any thoughts on Senator Bernie Sanders?
I think Bernie has his supporters, and I think he has a message. And some of his ideas are good. I don't agree with all of them. And I think that the candidate that has the most potential of winning, and I think because of his, I think he's more moderate and more centrist, but also is a compassionate guy, is Joe Biden. Now, I'm not sure if Joe Biden will get in the race or not get in the race. Another guy that I think that people aren't paying much attention to is Mike Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg, the former three-term mayor of New York, and now has returned to the Democratic Party. I think he has the ability to fund his own campaign. He's got great ideas. He's well respected in the business world. He's a self-made billionaire. And also he is a voice of reason. So I think the two people that have the best chance of winning haven't even announced yet, and that would be Joe Biden and Mike Bloomberg. So I'm keeping my powder dry. I'm just watching the thing goes out very early in the process, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Do you have any thoughts on Kamala Harris?
I don't know much about her other than that, she was the Attorney General in California, and she seems like a very intelligent woman, and she's well respected. So, but I haven't done a deep dive on her and her policies and things of that nature. I think that Kirsten Gillibrand, our U.S. Senator from New York, I think she's a non-starter. I don't think she's not that well known, and I think that she is great on women's issues, and she's been a great voice on women's issues and sexual harassment in the U.S. Senate. But I think that she's being overshadowed. So I think she'll be one of the first ones out of the race. But I think the people that have the greatest potential for winning, Joe Biden and Mike Bloomberg, haven't even announced yet, and I don't know if they will.
What about Senator Cory Booker?
I like Senator Booker. I think he is well respected and has a great voice and is good in New Jersey, and he's been great in the Senate. And he's been known to work in a bipartisan way across the aisle, which I think is good. So we'll see. It's early in the process. I do know one thing is that the people can't start setting their hair on fire about some of the more newly elected congressmen who are flexing their muscles with real progressive policies. I think that'll all moderate itself as they get more mature.
Oh, you're talking about the downstate Congresswoman AOC there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, maybe?
I think she could be a strong force, but I also think she's got a lot to learn.
Sure thing. We've been talking with Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan. Down to the last 60 seconds. Any final thoughts, Shawn?
No, I just want you to, I'm not an apologist for the governor. In fact, I rarely see him or talk to him, so I'm not an apologist. I'm just a realist. I know what he's done, and I know the personal involvement he's had in our community, and I just, will want local people to realize and understand that.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Yes, as I said at the beginning, I had sent Shawn an email, and I don't think he received it. Yes, about a month ago, telling him, hey, if you want to come on and make a defense for Governor Andrew Cuomo, feel free, because he was getting slammed a lot. It's AM 1480 WLEA Hornell. Shawn Hogan, thank you for joining us.
All right, good. It's always a pleasure. Bye bye.